This isn't me just talking to people who agree with me and talking about history. This isn't a comment section where people can type crazy stuff and disappear and never explain themselves. That's not what we're doing here. Tonight is for critics. Okay. If you have something to say about my Willie D appearance, this is your chance. If you said I was wrong, it's your chance. Call in. If you said I was defending the prosecution, call in. If you said I was being too hard on Karmelo Anthony, call in. If you said I don't understand self-defense, call in. Call in. If you said I was selling out, call in. If you said I sounded like I was on the wrong side, call in. But here's the rule. You got to be live. You got to say it to my face. You got to show your face. No hiding behind dark screens. You're going to be a man or a woman. You got to put your big panties on. Don't hide in the comments. Don't hide behind emojis. Don't hide behind Dennis is a sellout. And then disappear when it's time to explain the law. If you had enough confidence to criticize me publicly, then you should have enough confidence to call in and say it with your voice. Because here's the problem with a lot of online criticism. People don't actually argue the point. They argue emotion. They argue race. They argue anger. They argue what they wanted the outcome to be, but they don't deal with the real legal question. The real legal question was never, do you feel bad for Karmelo Anthony or his family? Of course you feel bad for him. You should also feel bad for Austin Metcalf and his family if you're a human being. But see, the real question was never, do you think Austin Metcalf was perfect? That's not the issue. The real legal question was never, do you distrust the criminal justice system? A lot of us do, and for good reason. No, the real question is, was this: did the facts support the self-defense under Texas law, or did the jury have a legal basis to convict him of murder? The link is in the chat room. Again, critics, the link is in the chat room. This is a live. Somebody type live in the chat room. But again, as far as Willie D, that was the conversation that I had. That's the conversation some people didn't want to have. A lot of people wanted me to say he was black, the jury was white, or they were non-black because they weren't even all white. And therefore, the verdict was wrong. But I'm not going to insult my audience like that. I'm not going to pretend law doesn't matter just because emotions are high. I'm not going to act like self-defense automatically applies because somebody got touched first. That's not the law. Putting hands on somebody may start the self-defense conversation. It doesn't automatically end the murder analysis. There's a difference between force and deadly force. There's a difference between being disrespected, being in danger of death or serious bodily injury. There's a difference between being scared and being legally justified in stabbing somebody. There's a difference between I understand why he was upset and the law excuses what happened. That's the part people don't want to deal with. And let me say this clearly. I'm not here to dance on Karmelo's conviction. I'm not here celebrating a young black man going to prison for 35 years. I'm a father. I have sons. I understand exactly how serious this is. One young man is dead and another young man's life is destroyed. Two families are never going to be the same. But because the stakes are that high, we have to be honest. Somebody type honest in the chat room. If your son is in a confrontation and he pulls a knife and somebody ends up dead, you better understand that the courtroom isn't going to care how tough he sounded in the moment. The courtroom isn't going to care that people online said he had every right to stand his ground. The courtroom isn't going to care that people on YouTube told him he didn't have to take disrespect. The courtroom isn't going to ask how he felt. If anything, he needs to get up there and testify himself. But let me tell you what the courtroom is going to ask. Was deadly force immediately necessary? Well, was his belief reasonable? Was there a threat of death or serious bodily injury? They're going to say, what did the witnesses say? What did the evidence show? What did the defendant say or not say? What did the jury believe? That's the real world. The link is in the chat room for all the critics. And look here, to many people online, too many of you all, too many people online are teaching young black boys street rules instead of courtroom rules. Street rules will have you feeling right for 5 seconds and sitting in prison for 35 years. Courtroom rules are different. Survival rules are different. Fatherhood rules are different. Sometimes walking away is not weakness. Sometimes walking away is wisdom. Sometimes walking away is the reason you sleep in your bed instead of a prison cell. Now, if you disagree with me, good. That's what this show is for. But don't call in with slogans. Don't call in with feelings. Don't call saying, man, he should have defended himself unless you're ready to explain why deadly force was legally justified. Don't call in saying it was self-defense unless you can explain what facts made it reasonable for him to use a knife in the moment or a deadly weapon. Don't call in saying, well, Austin touched him first. Like that automatically wins the case. It doesn't. That may matter. That may be part of the defense. But that alone doesn't mean you get to use deadly force against somebody. And also, don't twist what I said. I didn't say the justice system is perfect. I didn't say race doesn't matter. I didn't say a non-black jury, an all-white jury doesn't raise concerns. I didn't say Karmelo Anthony is some monster. I didn't say Austin Metcalf didn't do anything wrong. I didn't say I was happy that that young man is getting a 35-year sentence. What I said was that the jury had a legal path to reject self-defense and come back with murder. That's not the same as saying you have to like the outcome. That's not the same as saying you have to that the sentence feels fair to you. It's not the same as saying that the system treats black defendants equally. I didn't say that. It means we're mature enough to separate different questions. First, was the verdict legally explainable? Second, was the sentence morally excessive? Third, does race affect how people see the case? Those are three different conversations. And tonight, we can have all three, but we're not going to collapse them into one emotional argument and pretend that's legal analysis.